Bamban. Nice to meet you. Today I will be talking about the K-drama True Beauty adapted from the webtoon by Yeon-gi. I hope I'm saying her name right. I will only be going over the K-drama, not the webtoon, as they do have some differences, as well as the webtoon is still going on. So I might, when that wraps up, I might review it, or I might do like a compare-contrast situation. So today is strictly the K-drama. I will also be trying to do a Lim Joo-kyung look. Now, again, I'm not a makeup, so we're gonna do our best. This is the picture that I will be using. Hopefully it'll appear somewhere around here. So, the first episode starts with, well, okay, let's just do a little bit of backstory first. So True Beauty is a webtoon about a high school girl who is ugly and people treat her terribly. I mean, they treat her bad. And she gets bullied to such a degree in school that she's like, if I wear makeup, people won't treat me so bad anymore because I won't be ugly. And that's pretty much the premise of the show and the webtoon, and she desperately needs to hide her secret of being ugly. So it's always like if people find out, then you know I'll be ruined, that sort of thing. So the first episode starts out with Im Joo-kyung being ugly, I guess. And she's getting bullied to such a degree that she contemplates suicide. Right? She's gonna jump off the building. And she calls her mom and she leaves a message saying, you know, I wish I would have been pretty. Hopefully in the next life I will be pretty. Please remember me fondly. That sort of thing. And then Lee Suho so happens to be on his way up there because the plot needed him to be. Anyway, so he so happens to be going up to the rooftop at that point and sees her standing on the precipice of the building. So he runs over there and he snatches her down. She falls on top of him and he kind of starts to scold her a little bit. At first he was like, oh my God, thank God you're okay. I got here in time enough to save you. Then he was like, why would you do that? You thinking about anybody that you would leave behind and how bad they would feel that they couldn't save you, da 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 da. Because it turns out that he had a friend that he couldn't save. So he saw that opportunity as a kind of like a moment to make up for not being able to be there for his friend. Backstory on his friend, his name also starts with an S, and I'm going to have to look up what his name is again. I'm so sorry. But he was a K-pop idol. That's important later. So they start to have a little bit of a friendship after that because she ends up running into him in a bookstore later and he recognizes that it's her. So, you know, they're kind of cool, and she's into horror books. She really likes Junji Ito. She's a major fan of Junji Ito. Nobody knows. She's just like one of those undercover things that she keeps to herself, and it turns out Lee Suho is also into Junji Ito, so they bond off of that. And then they end up going to school together. And he doesn't realize that it's her at first because, you know, she has her makeup situation going on. So before when she was getting bullied really bad, she ended up transferring schools, and she's transferred to the school that Suho goes to. So now they're classmates, and he recognizes who she is as the girl that he saved from the rooftop, but she thinks that he can't tell the difference because she has makeup on. So let's just back up to the casting real quick. I think the casting was really superb. The girl that they casted as Im Joo-kyung, her name is Moon Ga-young, and she is stunning. This actress, beautiful. And that's where my problem comes in. Okay, because Im Joo-kyung is supposed to be an average looking girl at best, I guess. And then when she puts her makeup on, she becomes this goddess, if you will. And when I heard that this webtoon was getting transferred into a K-drama, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're gonna get, like a regular looking girl, an average girl, like the rest of us, and then they're gonna do her makeup up or whatever, and it's gonna be this thing, this compare and contrast situation like it is in the webtoon. Oh, nay. They went and got this beautiful actress, and then they put like little red spots on her forehead and cheek and chin, and like these little nodule bumps, and drew in her eyebrows like mad thick. And what they're trying to say is they think that I'm dumb, because they think that this girl at any point in her life would have ever been bullied for being ugly because her face is red. Okay, so moving on. Other than that, casting for Im Joo-kyung, amazing. This girl cries on command. She cried a lot. She had a lot of reason to cry though, but she just A1. The acting. Moon Ga-young, you did that, honey. Oh boy, you did that. And then we'll swing over to the casting for Lee Suho. So this is who he is in the webtoon, and they, of course, casted Cha Eun-woo of Astro because he's a face genius. Like, of course they did. Like, they knew what they were doing. Of course it was gonna be him. Who else was it gonna be? Like, the options was it wrote itself. It really did. It just, that's him. Is him. You know what I mean? Perfect. So they're low-key friends, right? And he low-key cared for this girl, even though he's not a bad boy, but he's an asshole. Like, he's not kind to anybody else except for Joo-kyung. And I'm not entirely too sure what the reasoning is behind that, because it didn't seem like it was from trauma from losing his friends. It just seems like he's just not that personable. But he's super smart. He's the top student in that school. He has the highest grades and super good looking. So he's the full package. And Joo-kyung doesn't really pay attention to that. Like, she doesn't notice that he's good looking until way later down the line. Enter Han Seo-jun. And that casting, again, immaculate. They casted Hwang In-yeop to play Han Seo-jun. And fun fact about Mans here is he is 31. And he doesn't have prior acting. Well, he does, but this is his first major role. So I guess he didn't start getting into the modeling industry until he was 28, 29, something like that. And then he had a minor role, I think, in a webtoon. Oh no, a web series. And a minor role in a period piece in another drama. So this is the one where it was a focus on him, second male lead, and he did amazing. Everybody did amazing. This trio did amazing. So then we have all of them together, and they came to be the perfect casting for these characters, look wise and portrayal. They were great. They did great. So as the story goes, they're low-key cool, they're low-key friends, but they don't really talk about it at school, right? They more hang out outside of school at the comic book store. At this point, as time goes on, people are like, oh, you're friends with Lee Suho, and she was like, oh yeah, you know, he's cool or whatever. And that's when we learn that Suho and Sojun, which are I think they call them the top two in the school, just because they're the two most attractive people in school, two most attractive dudes in school, that they used to be best friends. And now this is key right here. So they used to be best friends, and their third, Seon, their third friend was named Seon, so they were SSS. And it turns out that after Seon passed away due to suicide, they broke up as friends. And the reason being is because Seon, on the night of his death, he called Suho in the hopes that Suho would believe him, because some media story got put out about him and his name is getting dragged through the mud, slander left and right, and he was like, if I call Suho, at least someone will believe me. But Suho missed the phone call because I think he had just freshly caught his dad not cheating, but moving on a little quicker than Suho would have appreciated. Something like that. He caught his dad doing something that he ain't like. And so during that time, he got in the shower. He was like, let me clean my head. I'm not going to deal with nothing. Phone call comes through. Boom, he misses it. Come to find out, later on, I think he saw it on the news or something. They were like, K-pop star Seon dead at whatever age they were. And so he go running. And Sojun also found out that way too, I think. So they both go running. They meet up there and they see their friend getting taken away on the gurney. And Sojun always blamed Suho from that point on for Soyeon's death. He was like, you weren't there for him. His death is on you. So the blood is bad between the two of them. That is the crux of that storyline. So enter Jukyung, right? So she's cool with Suho or whatever, and Sojun notes that. Okay. He was like, oh, it kind of looked like to me like you might have a thing for Miss Ma'am over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take your girl, because that's what you deserve, because Soyeon's death is on you and you don't deserve any happiness in this world again, because if you can't bring him back, I'm gonna destroy your life. So then the feud kind of goes on in that manner. Now, here's my thing, is I really needed them to have a come to Jesus moment about that, because the misunderstanding was never addressed. I'm looking at the reference real quick. The misunderstanding was never addressed as to what happened that night necessarily. So they are just having this back and forth. He knows that Suho likes this girl. He also knows that this girl is completely oblivious to the fact that Suho likes her. And so he was like, well, I'm a push up on her. And he does this thing where he was like, I'm only gonna do what you tell me to do. Only gonna do what you tell me to do. Well, keep in mind, they're in high school. So I guess that means that they're talking or dating, like they implied or whatever. So now rumors are flying around the school. Ooh, is she dating this person? And she's not about it. She don't like it. She's like, listen, stop. This is uncomfortable for me. We're not dating. We're friends or whatever, but this isn't cute. This is not for me. I ain't asked you to do this. I don't do this. That's not how I speak. Knock it off. So Suho peeps game about it, right? So he goes to confront Sojun in the cafeteria. And I'm talking, he walks up, and let me set the stage. So Sojun over here on his bad boy tip, right? Not caring, hands in pockets, smooth. Suho walk up with determination, and he grabs man's by the lapel. Shakes him twice like that, because you know they gotta get the scene they're like. And Sojun didn't flinch. He didn't look bothered. He was nonplussed. So right there I knew. I was like, oh, he mean it. He don't give a damn, honey. He ready for the smoke. He ready for the action. So anyway, they have that little moment. And then they start to hang out, Ju-kyung and Sojun, because they also foster a little friendship, because Sojun's sister also was getting bullied for being ugly. So Ju-kyung was like, hey, listen, I'm gonna do your makeup for you, and then you don't have to worry about them girls no more. And they bonded off of that. So Sojun was like, hey, I really appreciate what you did. I want to buy my sister a gift for something or another. I don't know, maybe it was her birthday. Maybe it was a congratulations gift or something. I don't quite recall, but he wanted to buy her a gift. So she was like, cool, I will go shopping with you and help you pick out a lipstick color, because he was gonna buy her makeup. And it was at this moment that Sojun, I think, really started to actually have feelings for her. And it's my favorite scene, so I'm gonna include it here.
좀 발색력 괜찮네. 이걸로 할래? 야, 한서준.
어?
이거.
이걸로 하자.
See how magical that moment was? Like, he was stuck. The music, the way that he was looking at her, the way, like, I could just feel it in that moment. I was like, oh, that boy going. Oh, that boy solid. Oh, so cute. So, as it goes, they both start to realize, Suho and Sojun, that they both start to realize that they have true, genuine feelings for this girl, Ju-kyung, because she really is a sweet girl. She's kind of an airhead. She doesn't have a whole lot of agency in the beginning, but she's a good girl. She doesn't deserve the hatred that was coming her way by any means. But it did make it so that the two guys had to talk about where they were at this point, because feelings were becoming real for both of them. And they sit down, and Suho was like, you know, I like this girl. Why does it have to be her? Why are you falling in love with her? And they actually do fight about it. Like, they box. They legit box. And Sojun is like, I honestly don't know. I honestly didn't mean for it to necessarily happen like this. And it does suck that you and I are now in love with the same girl. So then they end up they sit down and have a conversation about what happened that night. And this was the most important part to me of the K-drama and the webtoon, honestly, is that they talk about what happened that night with Soyeon and to get everything out there on the table. And if they're able to squash the beef, then squash it, because it's so traumatic what happened. And then the fact that they're both dealing with their best friend's death apart from each other and essentially alone, because Suho's a loner, and Sojun, he has his little gang or whatever, but neither of them dealt with losing their best friend in that manner. So they do end up sitting down and talking about it and realizing that it truly was an accident that Suho didn't get the phone call that night. And that if he had, that he absolutely would have been there for Soyeon and tried to do whatever he could to stop this situation from progressing and getting to where it got. So they do end up having that come to Jesus moment. Thank God. But now they're still both in a situation where they're both falling in love with the same girl. So what do? Well, at this point, they are essentially both fighting for her affections, you know, because it's a K-drama. There has to be a love triangle. Well, they both end up developing a relationship with Jugyong, right? Like separately from each other. But they also have their friendship back on track. So now they're kind of always together. They went from fighting in the lunchroom to being damn near inseparable, which I loved. I was here for, because I just wanted their friendship to be back to where it was. That was important for me. Anything else that happened after that was secondary. I just needed Suho and Sojun to be cool again, and they did end up getting there after a while. So now it comes down to both of them pursuing Jugyong, and she now has to choose which one she's going to be with. Now, Jugyong is the kind of person that she has no idea that these men are in love with her. It's painfully obvious for the rest of us, but Jugyong, she's the kind that, you know, if you don't directly square her shoulders and say, I am in love with you, she doesn't know. And that's because of the years of trauma that she's gone through from people treating her so crazy for having rosacea, a little bit of acne, and thick eyebrows. So anyway, they're fighting for her affections while also maintaining a semblance of friendship for themselves. So Jugyong is still oblivious to the fact that anybody cares for her in this manner at all. But they both start making moves. And I'm not going to spoil who she does or doesn't choose, but I am going to insert this clip right here.
20원짜리 팬티를 입고 뻥!
Tell me that isn't the cutest sound you've ever heard. Tell me that roar when that part came on, I think I could physically hear me and my husband's heart melting, because I have never heard anything that cute before. That is precious. I'm telling you, Jugyong is such a sweet, sweet girl. So at the end of it, it gets hard because you like Jugyong as a person. You're rooting for her to get a backbone. And Suho is such a solid person too. He has his own merits. He is very caring to the people he wants to be towards. And Sojun is also very caring, more so than Suho, honestly. Even though he's the bad boy or whatever, because he drives a motorcycle, so he's so dangerous. But they're both really, really solid dudes. And there did come a point where Ju-kyung ends up in a situation where she gets kidnapped by some dudes that were after Sojun. So Sojun gets mixed up in some stuff, and he pisses a certain amount of people off. And they're like, oh, he's dating this girl, Ju-kyung, because remember he was doing the I'm only gonna do what you say thing. So word got around and people think that they're dating even though they're not. So they kidnap this girl. They take her to noraebang, which is karaoke. And word gets out and Ju-kyung's friends come flying in, as well as Suho and Sojun, and they go to collect Ju-kyung. And it really is such a badass moment that I was like, the friends you need. The friends literally kicked the door in and started whooping ass. I mean, flying around the room, just kicks, punches, book bags, purses flying. They worked those dudes over, because how dare you take my best friend? Masala Shomai. And that's not Mary Had a Little Lamb. So all three of them at this point have separate relationships, right? Suho and Ju-kyung have their relationship. Sojun and Ju-kyung have their relationship. And then Suho and Sojun have their relationship. Did I say that right? Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. And it gets to a point where you know she's going to choose one of them because it's a K-drama. And you pretty much know who she's going to choose because it's a K-drama. But you read the webtoon, so you know that things could go differently. That's the I'm dropping hints here, okay? Let's keep up. And one thing I do want to point out is if you read the webtoon and you watch the K-drama, the same things don't happen. So that was really enjoyable. That I could read the webtoon and pretty much know the premise of what's going on, but they did change some key components to where you can watch the drama and not know everything that's going to happen. They handled that really well, just sidebar. But it made me root for all three of them to honestly just be a throuple at this point, because I don't want anybody getting hurt. I did not want anybody getting hurt. I like the good sis Ju-kyung. She's so sweet, and she really deserved the world. She really did. Suho, also stand-up guy, as well as deserved the world. And Sojun, super sweet guy. The world should have been given to him as well. You know what I mean? So it was like, I know she's gonna choose somebody, and that's upsetting because that means that the other person is going to get hurt. And I will say that a certain someone in this drama just kept getting hurt back to back, and it was uncomfortable. It was unnecessary. The amount of times that this individual ended up getting hurt behind this situation. You know what I'm like? It didn't have to, like, it was overkill. Like, we got it the first 3 times. You didn't have to keep going. That was actually quite upsetting. Now there is one part that I want to touch on real quick. I'm not gonna spoil nothing. I'm not gonna spoil nothing. I'm getting mad all over again. Something does happen in this drama that I wanted to fight. I wanted to square up. I was so mad, in fact, that we finished watching it. And I'm like this. Like, probably for the last 10 minutes, the whole time, like, my face is in my hands. I'm like, that did not just happen. That did not just happen. That ain't just happen. That didn't just happen. That did not just happen. And so, okay, so we finished watching the episode, right? Probably an hour goes by. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and you know another thing, and you know what I would have did? And like, and my husband jumped right in, which is so unlike him. But he was also so upset that we are sitting up here having a conversation a full hour after the episode had ended. And we're just talking about all the ways, because I for sure would have been kicked out of school. The hands that I would have passed out. Hands needed to be given. Because what happened? Oh my God, Ju-kyung, honey. I was ready. I was ready to catch a flight, honey, because they did you crazy. Oh, they played with you, baby. They played with you. And I was ready to have your back. Because that was unacceptable. I ain't... I'm not going to tell you what happened. I'm not going to tell you when it happens. I'm not going to tell you who did it. But if you watch it, or if you've already seen it, you already know. And hands needed to be given, because Ju-kyung is too sweet of a girl. She has been through too much, and she trusted you. This girl that went through this trauma to the degree that she was ready to jump off a damn building trusted you. It's just a show. It's just a show. It didn't actually happen. Let me dial it back. But that's how hot it made me. Like, I was mad for a whole week. We both were. For a whole week. We were like, no. No! You're not gonna leave it like that. On a cliff. No. I needed it to be the next day already. for when it was airing again. Because I was like, you gotta fix this. You cannot... You have to fix this. You cannot leave it that way. No sir, no ma'am, no ham, no bacon. You have to fix this. So I'm gonna leave it right there. And I'm gonna encourage you guys to watch it. It does wrap up nicely. I really like the way that it ended. And I'm back giving you Im Ju-kyung. Now I don't have the same bag as her, but let's do it for the one side real quick. I mean, I basically nailed it. So I hope that you guys will check out the show. I really think that it needs the critical acclaim because the message that it put out was excellent. The acting was superb. Anyway, thank you for joining me for today's makeup and drama review. I will do this again sometime. If you guys watched True Beauty or read the webtoon, let me know below. We can discuss it. And I hope that you'll come on back next time. Bye.